Alrighty, so I'm here today with Lisa, who is a fellow homeschool mom of three. And real quick, I'll just say how we know each other, which is that our kids went to a homeschool. Well, I should say our eldest kids went to a homeschool art class together and fell in love and wanted to see each other outside of art class.
Thank goodness.
I know. So then they smushed us together. We got each other's phone numbers and we were just commiserating before the call. We don't see each other as often as we would like because we are 40 minutes away from each other. Even though it's like we live in the same area, the area is so sprawling that it just, you know, feels farther than it is, but also it's far at the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a bunch of questions to ask you. And the first one I'll ask is what was your life like before homeschooling and before kids?
Ooh. Okay. How long do we have? You always you hear and then you say, it's like you don't really remember what life was like before kids.
Yeah.
And that feels pretty true. It feels just like, yeah, a lifetime ago. My eldest is 9, so I mean, it wasn't really that long ago. Um, but my husband and I had an organic snack company that we ran for about 10, 11 years. That led into our first baby as well. A personal trainer and my very, very, kind of right out of college. Those were kind of my careers
Yeah.
until my first was born. And then I kept personal training for a little bit, just very part-time, and we had our snack business still for a couple years and slowly kind of faded out of that. We ended up closing our business, and then, I'm still personal training very part-time. I have clients who come to my house now who are, like, adopted aunt and uncle, and so grateful for them. Um and life was I mean, we had a dog, and we rock climbed, and we skied, and we traveled.
Yeah.
And now fast forward, so now my youngest is almost 2. We just rejoined the rock climbing gym. I was out skiing with
Woo!
my eldest yesterday. It's like, you find these rhythms again that it's like, okay, those like intense years of, having a baby especially. And you kind of, yeah, I come out of it. It's like, this is what we enjoyed doing before you guys. Like, let's bring you along. And all along, we've still really tried to emphasize travel, make that an important part of our lives. Um, yeah, that kinda summarizes that. I mean, I can elaborate more, but I'm sure
Yeah.
a lot of
No,
this will fold into more questions too.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so yeah, 3 kids, oldest is 9, youngest is 2, middle is 6, right?
5.5 now, yep.
5 and a half, yeah. Was homeschooling always on your radar, or what was the thing that sort of, prompted you to follow that path?
It's a great question. I don't know for how long before I had my first, but, I actually was very inspired by I went high raw plant-based, um, like, a year or so before my first babe. And I started following a lot of people kind of on that lifestyle and really was inspiring for um, home birth, home education. It just all really resonated and felt right. So it might have been before she was born that I was even, considering it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And then they're born and you're like, I could never imagine sending you away.
Yeah.
I want you to be with me. And then the more kids you have, you're like, I don't want you to leave your siblings either.
Yeah.
Yeah, then there's so many more reasons. But it was probably some of the influencers at the time in the raw plant-based community that were really just kind of embodying the whole like back to earth, back to nature, home birthing, home educating.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was really inspirational for me.
I love that. Okay, the reality of homeschooling, now that you're, in the trenches in it, uh, is there did you think homeschooling was going to be one way and now it's another way? Is it like you envisioned? Positive, negatives of like the reality of doing it versus maybe what you came into it thinking it might be?
Sure. Good question. I think, hmm, I don't know how misaligned. Like I don't know that I had any great expectations. I think it was always kind of like, let's just start. Let's see. The first two, so when my oldest was for her kindergarten and first grade years, we wintered in Florida. So we were in Florida from basically January through May. And so it was kind of like, especially for all the naysayers, it was like, well, we're going to be, I can't have her in school if we're going to be in Florida half the year. So we're just gonna try this homeschooling thing out, right? That's kind of my excuse.
Yeah.
And, uh, and it was just like, it just kind of felt organic. Like, let's try different things. Let's see what curriculums work. Had some fellow friends ahead of us that kind of, hey, kindergarten's 45 minutes. Like, don't sweat it 4 days a week. Like, no big deal.
Yeah.
Right. And just
Yep.
really focusing on nature and let's bake and measure, right? Like keep it pretty simple. And then, yeah, it just, especially after those first 2 years when we were part and part with our travels, it just, it was going so well. Like my first is just, we're very similar, just not really much resistance. It felt pretty easy. And I mean, as we were talking about before the call, it's like you still fly by the seat of your pants. You're
Yeah.
still just like, what's working, what's not. Like, this is not a science by any means.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of jumping off of something you said, do you feel like you follow certain curriculums or certain like methodologies or philosophies? And what are some favorites if you feel like sharing? If not, that's okay too. And also, like maybe there's some that you tried that have changed. And so, what's kind of been your journey with like curriculum versus not and finding that balance?
Yeah, totally. So from the get-go, I had a good recommendation for The Good and the Beautiful, math in particular. And so we kind of jumped in on that pretty early on, and we're not very religious. And especially in the math, there's not like there's some religious components, but it's fine. It's totally fine by us, or we, kind of insert different words if we need to. Um, but I love the curriculum and it's worked so well for us. And I've tried to have the mindset that this has worked really great for my first. My second just started kindergarten and it's going great for her, but I've always tried to at least tell myself that if it doesn't work for another kiddo, there's other options out there. At the same time, I'm like, I hope it works because I don't
Yeah.
like it felt so good the first time, right? So luckily it is working well.
Yeah.
And then for my first, my mother-in-law is a speech therapist and she has all these like language development type resources. And I was kind of letting her guide me with, early phonics and reading. And so I kind of followed some of her suggestions for the first couple years and it worked. She learned to read and write,
Yeah.
it was great. But honestly, I think I think for her second grade curriculum, I was like, I really like what we're doing, but I felt like I was missing a couple components, whether it was story writing or I don't know. So I did some more research on the Good and Beautiful language arts because I really was enjoying their math curriculum and just kind of looking at some of their sample pages. I was like, let's try this. And to be honest, I'm loving it.
Yeah.
And I started my kindergarten on it, for her kindergarten year. Actually, we did the pre-K course also. So and my eldest is like, hey, I wish I had done that. I'm
Yeah.
like, you learned to read, you did it great. But it is a really beautiful course. So we're doing Good and Beautiful for math and language arts and enjoying that. And then I'm just pulling kind of different resources. We kind of pick different unit studies throughout the
Yeah.
year. So we're doing history study, we're doing space right now. And then yeah, I kind of just find different things and see what works.
Yeah.
Um I also said to them, I said, maybe this winter after we wrap up a couple of our units, I'd like to just take a little time off from any other kind of, extra, like focus on our math, language arts. We have maps up. We're always talking about geography.
Yeah.
Um, but let's just dive into some good books and let's just take like maybe a month, and just read and be cozy when it's cold out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the beauty of it. And, kind of tied into that as well is the schedule. Like we took 10 days and went to Florida in December. And so we were doing some work over Christmas break and that was okay.
Yeah.
They did a math and language arts lesson yesterday because we were busy last week. So,
Yeah.
it's kind of fun, you can do it how you want, and have that flexibility. Like I love traveling in the middle of or like before, it's like after Thanksgiving and before Christmas, it's kind of a good time to travel,
Yeah.
right? Nobody's around. So, sometimes you feel spoiled. Like, we go to the rock climbing gym in the middle of the day and nobody's there, right?
Yeah. I know, and then school's out and you're like, "Everyone's at the playground."
Right.
Like
Darn. Yeah, in the summertime when everyone's at the pool, I'm like, "What's going on?"
Well, and you guys took that epic trip to Thailand and Asia
Last
like you did.
winter.
Yeah, so it's amazing and, like, so much learning just from immersing yourself in another culture and
It's the truth, totally, and sometimes you feel guilty, like you're not in your books, but, like, you know, you can either catch up on that or so what, because you're learning so much just being out in the world.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Do you rely on any sort of, like, half-day programming or full-day programming? In this area in particular, we do have a lot of it's like an abundance, amazing resources, which I feel very, very grateful for. So, can I know you do because I know you, but can you speak to that a little bit?
yeah, absolutely, and I share your sentiment. I mean, we are so lucky, and I'm so grateful for that. There really are. I mean, everything from art to nature to science, even the kids' rock climbing gym has a homeschool class, right, in the middle of
Yeah,
the Friday. Um, so we do utilize such things. I feel grateful and fortunate that I don't necessarily have to rely on them.
yeah.
They're beautiful opportunities for the kiddos, so I'm super grateful for them. So they do a half day art class, homeschool art class, and they do a full day nature immersion program. So
Oh,
2 days a week, they are yeah, around other homeschool kiddos and families doing some different things. And art is definitely not my expertise. We all love being out in nature together, but it's really cool. Like some of these leaders, and mentors have expertise in identifying plants and animal tracks, and they're learning to build a fire. And it's just, really unique and just really helps enrich their whole week.
yeah, that's awesome. Okay, when a homeschool day is going really, really well, what does that feel like for you? Like, what does it feel like in your schedule? What does it feel like in your body, in everyone's nervous systems? Like, what is the feeling when it's going well, and what's happening when it's going well?
Yeah, that's great. I mean, you feel kind of light and at peace, like, when everyone's just kinda focused, and, too, we got a little one, right? 2-year-olds, they're, like, into everything, right? So we've
Yeah.
had to child lock so many things, and, so, yes, so sometimes the baby is playing with her blocks and her little busy board, and we're sitting, and my oldest, she's at the point where she can do a lot on her own, and so
Mhm.
she's set up, and then I'm cranking through with the middle one, and it just feels light and easy and flowy, and beautiful, and sometimes well, so it's tricky. Like, honestly, no 2 days are the same because some mornings I'm with clients, and then we get started later, and we also have help with, from grandma a couple days a week. She comes a few hours. So, like, on Tuesdays, by the time I'm done training at 11, grandma's here 11 to 2. Like, we're not starting till 2, but I try to save our, kinda unit studies for more of our full days that we have available. So
Mhm.
it's like, all right, at 2 o'clock, we can just get, a couple math and language arts done. I'm happy with that. Do some reading, do some Legos, puzzling. We're great.
Yep.
So yeah, so just it feels light and easy and seamless and peaceful. And sometimes you're like, on those full days that we have, it's like, it's 12 o'clock and we're done.
Yep.
Go outside. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, on the flip side of that, where I guess along with that, what part of homeschooling stretches you the most? Whether it's like patience or comparison or, what parts feel hard to you?
Yeah. Good question. I honestly, it can be busy and chaotic, but it never really feels that hard. I mean,
Mm.
yes, there are times when literally, like, you can't meet everyone's needs at once, right? Someone has a math question, someone has a this question, and the baby is spilling the cereal on the floor, right? Like, and it's just it's chaotic and, busy and beautiful and all at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Um so, I honestly, like, managing the two-year-old sometimes is really the hardest part.
Yeah.
And then yesterday, granted it was a Saturday, and also they knew that this was our plan, my oldest, like, I think I was doing math at the middle, and my oldest was working on her math, and I just kept having to say, "Okay, focus, just focus." She even has,
Yeah.
like, her, like, noise-canceling headphones on, she's sitting at the table with us. It was like, "You can go to your desk in your room, but just focus, like, we're going skiing, like, come on," you know?
Yeah.
Because she was, like, trying to see what we were doing. So sometimes it's just, like, really trying to get folks, and I do feel like if we can get outside, get a little fresh air, make sure they're fed, right? You find these patterns that, like, really help them kinda zone in and just kinda get it done. But
Yes.
honestly, yeah, I think that I think just managing the baby right now is probably hard. Har
Yeah. Where do you find grounding in those moments, like for yourself? Like in terms of, it's the whole very cliche, but like you can't pour from an empty cup, right? Like what fills you up to be able to then homeschool your kids?
Yeah, good question. I mean, if I can make sure I've eaten something, which is really challenging a lot, like sometimes I'm like picking at some fruit while I'm making their breakfast. And then it's so if I can make sure I've eaten something, and yikes, sometimes it just feels like kind of getting through it or just taking some deep breaths, getting the babe on like something, that is manageable.
Yeah.
Like, it's so funny with the Good and Beautiful is they make math boxes for each the course of the younger years, and sometimes, honestly, like, baby's sitting on the table, like, "Okay," with the math box, but it keeps her entertained for a little while,
Yeah.
so it's like, "Okay," sometimes, like, whatever you gotta do. Or sometimes too, literally, it's like, there was slime on the floor the other day, and I it's good practice for me, right? Like, I gotta be at peace with
Yeah.
this chaos, and at least it's keeping her busy, and I'll get
Yeah.
to it later. Yeah,
I love it.
I know.
Um, what is something that you feel like, 'cause were you a public school kid? What was your
Yeah,
school experience?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, is there anything that you feel like you had to kind of unlearn yourself to be able to homeschool in the way that you want to?
Hmm, I feel like I would say my friends in high school knew so I grew up in Michigan. They knew, like, when I wanted to come out to Colorado for college, it's like, "Lisa," I think I even won the award in my senior year, most excited to go to college. I was not I got good grades, I played all the sports, I had good friends, like, it was a wonderful upbringing and overall quite a good experience, but I was still different. Like, I yeah, out of the box a little bit, right? And so
Mm,
for me to come here and kinda start fresh, um, yeah, so I think all along, like, yes, we were kind of, indoctrinated into this system of, right, the teacher, and you listen and you raise your hand, etcetera. But I feel like maybe that never felt that natural to me, so it didn't necessarily feel like an unlearning.
Mm,
Just felt like, "I wanna do better." These
mm,
children are like the most beautiful, miraculous things that we choose. I mean, if you're fortunate enough to choose, right, to bring them in,
mm,
and I just feel like they deserve better than what I was exposed to.
mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Do you feel like you have changed in the process of homeschooling? It sounds like, I mean, it sounds like such a fit for you, and I know your kids and like such a fit for them as well. But do you feel like there are things, even just through the process of the last couple years, that have sort of changed within you, or maybe even like changes that you've made in the process that have made you see things differently? Does that make
Mm.
sense?
Mhm. I think if anything, it's just made me grow stronger into, this deep knowing, this is what feels right,
Mm,
and this is what aligns with my values and what I want for my kiddos. Um, so if anything, maybe just the confidence,
mm,
you
yeah,
know, just really and that deep intuitive knowing.
yeah,
So yeah, just getting stronger in that foundation.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, last question. We're here already.
Wow.
And you can add if there's anything you wanna add too, I'd love for
Sure.
you to. Last question is if you could, talk to yourself, like, at the beginning of this journey, before you started, what would the you of today say to the you who was just starting out?
It's a good question because it's such a gradual process, right? Like I'm sure for some there's like some like distinct moment of like, wow, like that was revolutionary. And for me, it's just been such a gradual process of slowly learning and being okay with some of the unknown. So I think if anything, because I'm pretty organized, I think telling myself, so let's see, 4 or 5 years ago, whatever, right? That just be okay with some of the chaos and not knowing, and just know that like having the kids together, being with them, traveling, learning life lessons, like that's what's important,
Yeah,
being around a good community with other like-minded families. Yeah, going skiing in the middle of the week, like, that's all just part of life, and right? And that's what this is what it's about.
yeah,
It's about, yeah, learning life skills, and, the other night going to bed, my oldest started asking me about taxes because it was just her birthday and grandma gave her $50 to spend at Target, and she's doing the math in her head as she's shopping. And then grandma said something about the taxes. So I asked her, I said, "So did you have $50 before tax or after tax?" And I wasn't quite clear on, I'm not sure she was, right? So we started talking about it, and it's like, I don't think I learned any of that in my early years. And not to say a family can't elaborate on what kiddos are learning in school, right?
yeah,
For us, it's like we know exactly what they're learning, how they're learning it, how they're processing it, and just to be their guide and build that, like, just ultimate respect and amazing foundation for our relationship, for the rest of our lives. It's just incredible.
yeah. I love that. Do you have anything I didn't ask you that you would like to add, or closing thoughts?
Oh
No,
my
it's like it's a
gosh.
deep, I feel like we could go on and on forever.
We could go on and on forever. Yeah, I mean, there's just a multitude of reasons too that you kind of, for me at least, kind of figured out more and more as, the process has gone on now. Yeah, and having friends, in a traditional school setting, and just kind of hearing about, oh my gosh, they get 2 20-minute breaks, and they're like one friend in Longmont was just really complaining about the screen use, and they're doing the homework on the iPad. And, again, like it's no judgment. It's just amazing if you have an opportunity and you're called to it to be able to, experience this with your kids.
Yeah. Do you see yourself doing it, like, for the long haul? Like, do you see? Because I think that's something that I know I personally have come up against. People are like, I feel like every year people are like, "Are you still homeschooling?"
Yep, yep.
I'm
Are you
like,
gonna
"Yes, I'm still
homeschool
doing
high
it."
school? Yep.
Yeah.
Always, always, always. And what I say is just like, honestly, this works super well for us. It gives us a ton of freedom and flexibility. We, like I said, just have built this amazing foundation of respect and kindness and help, like with each other and the house and the relationship between the girls. It's just so grateful for that. I don't I don't really see why we wouldn't, but I also don't want to say if something comes up or there are different needs,
Yeah.
right? We can be open to that. And there are also so many different types of schools now
Yeah.
too, especially in our area. There's options. I do have a feeling, you know, at the rate we're going, I mean, at least for my eldest, my middle is kind of showing signs of that also, that by the time we're in high school, there might be things that I mean, I think they'll be quite self-guided on their
Mm.
lessons. My husband and I are decent enough at a lot of this that we can help them in times. And obviously, the internet, you can find anything you need.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely not opposed to. And I could see a world where they're in like a community college math course or something, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, just trying to always stay open with their needs, and desires too, you know?
Yeah.
Once in a while, someone will bring up, "Oh, well, so and so's doing this in school," or whatever, and school sounds interesting, and some mornings when I'm like, "It's snowing, aren't you glad you didn't have to, get up at 7, get on the bus," or whatever, right? Like, "This is beautiful, we get to make you tea, we get to cozy up by the fire," and,
Yeah.
they feel it for sure.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for taking the time to share. I
Thank
love
you.
sitting and chatting with you. So, yeah, I
Thank you,
appreciate it.
likewise.